Hello everybody. I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. Duncan! I think Domino is on his way. I scattered some of their favorite cereal on the ground, so they'll be running around picking that up for a little while we get started. But Watcher Zigzagoon is already here in the chat. How you doing, buddy? And Virus is here. Hi, Virus. Says, hi, Zero. Awesome work. Thank you. I do my best. So I'm running a little late today because right before the stream, I was running around in Animal Crossing. Been waiting since 7:25. Wow, you guys are too much. But I am here, and we are going to open up some files and get drawing. Let's see what we've got. If I can remember where I put it. I believe I put it in commissions? Which I believe I should move out of commissions because it is Pokemon, so it should go into the Pokemon folder. But for now, it's here. And just a reminder for anyone who wasn't here last week, what we're doing is drawing Pokemon in DnD classes, but not just any Pokemon, specifically the Lotad line. So last week we did Ludicolo as a bard. I might put some highlights on that later. But this week we are going to be drawing Ludicolo again as a barbarian. So let's see how fast we can get this done, and then hopefully if we have extra time, we will be able to do some sketches for one or the other, either Lotad or Lombre. I hope the music level is okay. We're playing our game playlist again. I didn't have time to add any music since last week, but I will be adding some more tracks soon as I download them. But bear with me while we sort through our music situation. But hopefully the randomization will make it a little less boring. It's still going to be the same few tracks repeated every week, but hopefully the randomization will make it so that it's not so obviously repeated every week. I find because we recognize the video game music, it tends to be a little more noticeable sometimes when you hear the same track come on again and again, but no repeats during the day, so that should be enough to make it interesting. I don't know why I'm starting with the weapon. I should probably start with the character. We got our duck-bill dinosaur. And what did I use? I used the smooth brush last time, so let's stick with the smooth brush. Oopsies. Hoenn early route. Yeah. Be right back doing recycling and compost. Alright, Ziggs. Yeah, my brother's got the take out trash chore, which he's supposed to do every day, but doesn't quite get to it on his own, so the parents are always reminding him. So I suppose, in a way, he gets out more than I do nowadays because he at least takes out the trash once a week. Alright. What? The days are going by a little bit faster. The weather's getting a little bit warmer. And I went out a lot last week, actually. Twice I had to go around driving. The school that I work for is currently closed. But in the spring, before all of this stay-at-home nonsense started, we did rent out some photo equipment. Well, not rent out. We let the students borrow photo equipment that we have to now get back. So a lot of them are still in the area. We are a commuter college, mostly. But they live quite far away, so instead of making the students leave their home and drive around and potentially get sick, we have one person, me, sometimes another person, but I was closer to the ones this time, and I went around and did pickup, and it was really nice. I forgot how much I enjoyed music, because when I'm at home and I'm working on my own stuff, I tend to listen to YouTube videos. It's like having the radio on, sort of. I just like getting through my content, you know? Like, the way I watch YouTube isn't click around and like find videos to watch. No, I have some channels I subscribe to, and as they come out with videos, I just queue them up in my watch later list, and eventually I get to them. So very rarely do I watch things as they come out. There are a few channels that I will watch their stuff right away. But as it is, most things I just kind of let the watch later playlist play, and eventually it comes around. But anyways, because of that, I don't tend to listen to music at home. It just seems like, you know, I've heard it, unless I'm in the mood for a certain song. I'd rather be consuming something new. Half the time I'm barely paying attention, so it does tend to go into one ear and out the other. So in those times, I think music would have been a better choice for entertainment, but I don't know. It's just something about listening to songs while I'm stationary. But the place that I do listen to music a lot is when I'm driving. I bring my playlists on the car, and it's great because I'm all alone and I can sing as loudly and as badly as I want. Of course, that just means now that I'm not driving at all, it's been a while since I've listened to some of my songs, and it was nice to get reacquainted with them. What was a little less nice was the temperature. It has gotten very hot, and driving around in the heat is not the nicest experience. And especially driving around in areas that I am not familiar with. I had a lot of construction going on in areas that I was familiar with, so the paths that I was used to were closed, and then like going into towns and districts that I didn't recognize meant making a lot of last minute merges and like looking for my exits, and forgot how scary driving can be. But luckily I have not forgotten how to drive. Turns out it really is like getting back on a bike. Hello, Rat Rascal! Thanks for coming to the stream. Virus asks, have you played D&D or some other tabletop RPG? Do you have a class you prefer or in RPG video games? I haven't played many RPGs or JRPGs, video game-wise, and in terms of D&D, I enjoy the character customization and the character building, but the playing I'm less good at, and therefore it's less enjoyable. I really like dice. I know it's like a strange, like a kind of a dumb, superficial thing to say, but I really enjoy dice, so I do own a set or two. But yeah, I've not much enjoyed my roleplay experiences. The whole like improvisation, having to like figure things out on the spot, and the whole creativity aspect. I'm not very good at thinking on my feet. You know, like a lot of people have complained about video games that kind of railroad you too much, and they like open world games, but I'm not one of them. I don't mind when a video game railroads me a bit, makes it clear where I'm supposed to go next, you know? But when I did play, I played as a druid, mainly because I wanted to play as my OC Zero, the Red Wolf, whose defining characteristic is that she's a girl that turns into a wolf. She's a red wolf. And her second defining characteristic is her tail. So as a human, she still has her wolf tail out. Not sure what the reason for that is. The lore was never really set when I created this character. But yeah, I think the practical reason was when I was young, I really liked the idea of transformations being physical, which meant if you were wearing clothes and you turned into an animal, the clothes would have to fall off or stay on. And then when you turned back, you would have to put it back on and such. So a wolf being essentially the same size as a human girl, about 120, 130 pounds, I figured the clothes could stay on. Maybe it would be a little stretched out because of the proportions, because of the bulk. But the problem would be the tail. Unless, you know, she wanted a big hole in her pants when she turned back, she would probably want to keep her tail out. In either form. So that was the practical reason. And maybe that's all it needs to be. Maybe the only reason is practical. So because of that aspect, I chose for her race, she's a tiefling. Because they can have extraneous body parts such as horns and tails. And I looked around a bit. It seems like most, if not all, tieflings have horns. So I didn't want to, like, completely, like, how do I say it? Change the character race to be a human that just has a tail. So I did give her horns. And the third characteristic that I wanted to keep was her hat. Zero the Red Wolf wears a Western style, I guess you could say a cowboy hat, some kind of, not a fedora necessarily, or not a Stetson exactly, but just some kind of outback hat, And so based on that, I gave her the background of an outlander, or whatever it's called. The kind of guy who lives out in the woods, not quite as introspectively as a hermit, but just like, lives in the woods, skins animals, log cabin type of dude. And being part wolf, she can hunt for food out there. So yeah, I have a tiefling druid, which is already pretty unique, and she's an outlander. Now, based on all of that, what would her background be? So it turns out tieflings tend to get abandoned in the wild as children because of their supposed demonic ancestry. So I'm like, okay. So let's say she was abandoned in the woods as a child and was adopted by a clan of gnomes. And so, despite being a tiefling, she actually thinks she's a gnome. Which, like, she's just a really overgrown gnome. And I thought that was silly. Just kind of a lovable idiot, But, that was my character. And, yeah, I don't know. I didn't get to play her for very long. It was hard to get, our sessions going, like, because of the members, life and all that. So we only had a couple of sessions, and I had some fun with her, but it didn't really seem like she was going anywhere as a character. I couldn't really find a path for her, and it was hard to figure out how she can help with the other characters' character arcs. Essentially, it just boiled down to trying to figure out what the DM wanted, so that we could progress, and not doing it right. But, we did have some just silly moments together, and, sometimes that's enough. Just, play around with characters. If I were to play again, I might just reuse the character and, like, continue to build off of it. I don't know. Zigzagoon says, I'm fine with any game genre as long as it isn't scary. I can't do horror either. Also, when it comes to character creation, I can do appearance, but the bio is much more of a challenge. I like working on background based on appearance. A lot of my characters are just an appearance and a background. It's hard to do one without the other, I think. If you just work on appearance, it's kind of boring because, there's no real reason for anything. So I like to throw in appearance with background together. It's coming up with current story that I have trouble with. Something for them to work on and to like progress. Because I wasn't much of a fan of the child is abandoned and wishes to find their family kind of storyline. I don't think that's necessary. But at the same time, I also needed to give her a goal. So I was thinking, what if she left her gnome family in the woods, her woodland gnome family, to pursue higher education in the city, and goes to the city, learns stuff like I don't know. She can't read, so it wouldn't be like book smarts, but maybe like I don't know, merchanting, like how to sell stuff and make a living. Something. She goes off, and then comes back, but when she comes back to the woods, the gnomes are gone. Like something had happened. Maybe a different tribe had moved in and kicked them out. Maybe an avalanche, or not an avalanche. What are they called? A landslide, or something happened to the environment that made it so that they had to leave. I don't know what the reason, but I figure maybe she came back. They were gone. And now she's looking for her gnome family. But it's an external source of conflict, you know? It's like, why does she just want to know that they're safe? You know, like, what changes about her if she finds them or if she doesn't? It's you know, it could be worked with, but those kind of current situation problems are where I start to falter. That's why I have a bunch of characters and no actual stories for them. Because by the time the story starts, they've already kind of finished their, you know, character arc, essentially. Rat says, yeah, Druid! The Druid class gives you the wild shape power. She could turn into a wolf as long as she had seen one IRL. Yeah, and I made it so that the gnomes each... I don't know if this is a thing, gameplay-wise, but I made it so that each gnome had, like... Oh, okay. The gnomes maybe were also druids. I don't remember, but each gnome had like a shape that they would turn into, and so she would wild shape only into a wolf, and something. She didn't know she was wild shaping. She thought she was just transforming into a wolf. I think the gnomes or like have. I made it so that they have some kind of power to shapeshift into animals. It's been a while. But yeah, I think if I were to do another character, I might pick maybe a fictional character and try to create a character based off of that, so I have some kind of thing in mind. Like, what would this character do in the show, and then I would like do something similar, because a lot of the problems I ran into was I wouldn't know if I was acting in character or if I was just doing what I would do, like me as a person, or rather what me as a person thinks the character would do. It's so hard to act. I don't know how it's done. I really should have taken an acting class when I was in college, but I don't know. I think at one point I also made a character based on my Audino, Jello. I never played him, but I came up with the concept. He would be like an old doctor guy, and I forget if he was a cleric or if he was just a doctor. I think he was a cleric. I think I made him like a dwarf cleric, who is trying to do the whole pacifist thing, like no killing, and goes around and heals people. And like I wanted to see how far I could carry a character like that in a roleplay game, since a lot of the times you'll get like enemies thrown at you and you kind of have to fight back. But there's something weird to me about playing a cleric, so I don't think I would be able to play him. I don't think Ludicolo actually has fingers, now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, also, Zero, the Red Wolf, she plays a dulcimer. I wanted to give her an instrument. And as an Outlander, a Wildlander type of backstory, I get to choose a instrument as my starting item, as one of the starting items. And so I was looking through the list, and I saw dulcimer, and I'm like, what is that? So I looked it up. It's kind of like a guitar, but you like put it on your lap and you pluck it and like press down on the strings to make the notes. It's pretty cool. Listen to a few YouTube videos of people playing it. It's essentially a lap guitar, I guess, is how you can say it. Which means it's made of wood. And as a druid, I have shillelagh. So I'm like, okay, can I use shillelagh on my dulcimer and whack people with it? And that's just my my wooden weapon thing. And being a tiefling, it was fun because I could have like when I drew pictures of her, I could have her druid materials hanging off of her horns. You know, like jars of dirt, feathers and whatnot. The irony of it, though, is I'm not a drawer and would thus have to specify the appearance in the written ref sheet. Yeah, that could make it difficult. Oh, I was gonna embellish him with some scars. Let's see, one on his beak, maybe two on his beak. Make him look a little war-torn. I don't really know what's happening with this belt of his. I think I got a little bit confused up here because I made it into a cloth belt, but now I'm noticing down here that there's actually a bit of a belt buckle. Let me see. Ooh, do, 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 do. Animal Crossing music is some of the best to put in the background for just lo-fi sounds. But some of the ones from the new games are a little... I don't know, I can't listen to them for long periods. I really miss the songs from the original GameCube version. Personally, I think Wild World had the best opening theme song. But yeah, I don't know, like 3 p.m. music just kind of grates on my ears. So speaking of Animal Crossing, I have a hairy problem that was finally resolved. Let me explain. So I've had this villager on the town named Harry. He's a big ol' hippo, and he's very cute, except for one character trait. He has a really ugly beard. I really don't like his beard. And I'm not the only one. I don't know if it's necessary. Okay, yes, I think she said it's the beard, but my sister also doesn't like him. My brother's like, you know, not the hugest fan. I don't think he like hates him necessarily. I don't necessarily hate Harry either. It's just I don't like seeing his face. It's like it's the beard is on him in a way that's very not flattering. I kind of, you know, wish he would shave it off, cuz he would be a very dashing hippo otherwise. But we've been trying to get rid of him and another villager. Her name is Queenie. There's nothing wrong with Queenie. She's just kind of boring. So we want new villagers. So we've been trying to get those two to move out. And there are numerous ways listed online on how to get your villagers to move out. The first method I've heard of was to ignore your villagers. Just don't talk to them. And I think if you ignore them for 15 days, they have a chance to ask if they can move out. We kind of tried this, but I mean, even the ugly villagers are kind of just really sad when you don't talk to them, and it's just really sad to see them walking around town and like not getting any interaction. So eventually we all just start talking to Harry. You know, he's here, he deserves to live a little, I guess. So we couldn't ignore Harry, and plus other villagers kept randomly asking to leave. And it has a 15-day cooldown, so if you tell one of your villagers, don't leave, stay, you have to wait like another 15 days before someone else will ask. I think for us it's a little shorter because we had multiple players. I'm not sure if that's a factor. But it seems even when we were ignoring Harry, every other villager would ask if they can move out except for him. So I don't know if that one works necessarily. So we had to find a different method. So the one that I am currently working on for Queenie is the thought bubble method. So if you didn't know, the thought bubble, when your villager wants to move out, they'll walk around town with a little thought bubble over their head, and they'll be thonking to themselves, and if you talk to them, they'll be like, hey, I've been thinking of leaving town, go out and see the world, live a little, and then you can be like, no, you're not allowed to leave, you're here forever. Or sayonara, bye-bye, and let them go. So the thought bubble method is when you see a villager thinking, and this is your first time seeing that villager for the day, they most likely will want to leave. And what you gotta do is talk to them to check, to see if they actually want to leave. And if they do, rather than say, don't go, stay, or yes, you can go, just turn the game off. Just while you're talking to them, just go to their home screen, turn off the game. And what this will do is, because of the autosave, it won't have had time to autosave your conversation, and when you enter the game again, they'll still be thinking. And then you just gotta ignore them for the rest of the day. The next day, that thought bubble for moving will have randomly transferred to another villager. Now that other villager might be the same villager because it's random. You can have repeats. And in fact, the first one that I started the streak on was Frida, my starting sister. And she had it for like 3 days straight after it began. But eventually it did move on to Zucker, and just continued to bounce around. So, yeah, I am every day checking to see who is thinking about moving, which is a lot better for a reroll than every 15 days. Now, if you still want to talk to your villager, you can actually get them to stop thinking by hitting them once with a net, and that'll chase the thought bubble away. And then you can talk to them like normal, and it'll still transfer to another villager the next day. I did this with Zucker on the 4th day, so I don't know if you have to get through like a certain number, or if you can do this immediately. But yeah, it does work, and I was originally waiting for that thought bubble to transfer over to Harry, but we were able to get rid of Harry in a different way, and that is the camper reroll. So with the campsite, a random villager might show up one day to go camping, and if you like them, you can talk to them over and over again until you've bullied them into moving into your town. And then they'll be like, okay, let me go talk to, because customer services. I'll talk to Isabel and Nook and see if there's any chance for me to move in. And then they'll come back all sad and be like, oh, shucks, it looks like you have a full town. And then you'll be like, oh, well, why don't we make a deal with one of the villagers? They make it sound like, oh, this villager was planning on moving anyways. Shall I talk to them about moving into where they were? If it's a random pull, unfortunately. If you use a, what is it called, an amiibo card, you can actually choose which villager to make move. But if it's a camper, it's random. Of course, with the power of resets, it's so funny that up until now, I've never really found a reason to reset an Animal Crossing game, and we had Mr. Rossetti yelling at us every time we do. And now that resets are like super useful, he's gone. He doesn't come to yell at you anymore. But anyway, yeah, I only had to reset once, and then it was Harry, and she's like, Harry wants to move out, apparently. And I said, go for it. And just like that, Harry was gone. I did feel a little sad seeing him go. I will say, after having him for so long, I did grow a little bit fond of Harry. But I think my sister and my brother were quite happy to see him gone. And I think at the end, it was mostly because I gave him like this dashing little tweed jacket, and he wears it very well. Before then, he's just been walking around in this like camo shirt that looks a little too tight for him, you know? You know, that kind of shirt. But he looks very nice in a tweed jacket, so yeah. Good old Harry. He moved in on his own. We didn't realize that if you place down 3 plots of land and you don't find 3 villagers from islands, that they would get randomly assigned a villager. So Harry came on his own, and now it's just Queenie. So the target has continued to evade, but soon I will get that bird, and she will be gone, and we'll be able to find another villager. I'm quite excited to start villager hunting. We did a little bit of it in the beginning of the game, but we were a little bit wishy-washy about it. Alright, so I think we're making some pretty good time. I'm almost done with the line art. I'm looking forward to not having to draw any more fur, that's for sure. What is he wearing? Some kind of iron. And then a wooden guard on top, right? That looks about right. Okay. I'm gonna make all his armor pieces look the same, so if asked, I can be like, well, that's just armor. That's one item. I like to give a little bit of a lump where cloth ends so that it doesn't look like it's just tattooed onto their flesh. I don't know what the deal with this hand is. I might have to redo the whole hand, actually. I don't quite like it, and I think it needs another sketch. It doesn't look like it's holding the axe, if you know what I mean. Okay. But I think that's all that's left, so let's try and fix this. Okay, so that's a thumb. Okay. The axe is coming down like this. And this will be the inside, the underneath of the armor, which I guess would kind of look like this from the bottom side. With a little bit of, with the wood sticking out, just a little. Yeah? Nice! Anger! Okay. That's rather strange. Mr. Rossetti was just like, I can't take this anymore. Villager hunting is fun. I found Audie once! I sold her from NMTs so I could get Poppy from someone. That's awesome. I like both of those characters. Audie is a new red wolf, so I feel a kindredship with her. And Poppy is just a mood. Virus is like, I was gone eating. You haven't missed anything except for Animal Crossing nonsense. Sorry to be repetitive, but I play with friends a tabletop RPG called Werewolf the Apocalypse, where we play as werewolves. Is really fun. It's a spin-off of Vampire the Masquerade and set in a world with many other creatures from the dark. Popular in the 90s, very edgy, but we play it mostly as a sitcom. That sounds awesome. I wanted to write a werewolf fiction at one point. Obviously there was going to be vampires in it as well. It just seems like if you have werewolves, vampires are not too far. I don't know why. Those two seem to go together, but something, it was basically I wanted to have these 3 werewolves on a road trip to nowhere. And of course, I had backstories for all of them. Not like fully fleshed out in some cases, But I knew where they had come from, and I had no idea where they were going. And that's just the story of my life. But I also tried to come up with like vampire characters. And the fun thing about vampires are that they live for a long time, so you can kind of play with how they used to look when they were turned, or rather before they were turned, and then what they look like now in like modern day setting. And they were kind of down in their luck kind of people, because they couldn't really be too in the public eye, so they kind of just tried to stay hidden and not draw too much attention to themselves. Of course, one of them I think was a circus kind of character, like a ringmaster, I think, because I was just getting out of reading the Darren Shane Vampire Assistant books, which I really liked as a kid, and yeah, the circus aesthetic is just kind of it was just kind of cool. I know there's like, a lot of stuff about the circus now, and like, animal cruelty or whatever, and whatnot, but circus freaks and that kind of stuff. But when you don't think about that kind of stuff, like I wasn't as a kid, it's just a fun aesthetic to write for characters that have no place in society and need to travel around and be weird but also kind of cool and like really good at stuff. I don't know. I think another one was obviously, it had to be one of those 1,000-year-old child characters where it's like, oh, they look like they're in the body of a child, but actually they're 100 years old or whatever. That's always one of my favorite what's it called? What's the word? Immortality. It's one of my favorite immortality tropes. I know it's like overused to death at this point, but I don't know. I like it. It's fun. And then I think another guy was just like a regular business guy, like the most generic looking businessman you can think of, just your blue collar worker, nothing out of the ordinary about him, and he happens to be a vampire. and then another one I think was like relatively recently turned, so he was like a vampire otaku who got to be a vampire, and he just like dresses the part and like wears a cape and like is into anime or whatever. I had a lot of characters, never got to do anything with them. What a shame. Let's see. Rat Skull says, I love Poppy. Her eyes and face markings make her look like a retro Disney character. Virus says, this is my character. Nice. Looks really fun. I like the fuzziness. And I like when the character keeps its clothes, you know, when you transform. Oh, look at that. LARPing, it's still weird to me, made this mask mostly to represent werewolves against all the people dressed as vampires in event. Nice. Zigzagoon says, hey, what are your thoughts on zombies? Zombies, I'm not a big fan of. With werewolves and vampires, you have this sort of, they're still a character, and they're struggling with something. Whatever you want your werewolves or vampires to represent. With zombies, it's more of it goes closer into horror genre, where it's just a force that you have to reckon with, and it tends to be physical, like oh, they're infected and now they can't think, and you have to like deal with them as an external threat. They're not like a character anymore. It really just becomes, well, I guess it's a less zombie stories less represent a character struggling with something within themselves, and more society struggling with something outside of themselves, which can be interesting. It's just not my kind of interesting. I never really watched Walking Dead, or any zombie media. The one I did enjoy was Warm Bodies. That one was funny because it was tongue-in-cheek. Even though I don't like rom-coms, it was like kind of, because I didn't like rom-coms and because I didn't like zombie movies, it was kind of the perfect blend of the two, where it was just kind of making fun of both while being a little bit of neither. I don't know. It was really dumb at the end how they still had to make zombies, like a different kind of zombie so that they had something to fight against. And the zombies just ended up being not zombies in the end. But whatever. The main character zombie was pretty good. The other zombies' actings could have been better, but you know, whatever. It's just for fun. And I enjoyed it so much when I first saw it that I dragged my friend to see it. But it turned out it wasn't like that funny. I was just blown away personally because it was such a antithesis of what I'm usually into, that it like blew my mind that it was good. Even like just a little bit good. I was taken so much by surprise that I thought it was a masterpiece. What should be on the belt? Let me see. Let me think. But yeah, other than that, I don't much enjoy zombie flicks, zombie media. Because even like beyond just the zombies, right? You can be like, oh, it's about the people and how they survive. Well, usually it ends up being, because zombies aren't that interesting of a threat, it ends up being, yes, the zombies are a threat, but the real threat is each other. And then like it's just people mistrusting each other and fighting each other and like being terrible people, and like societies, like a post-apocalyptic society where people have to try and band together, but then there's always that one person that like messes it up for everyone, and it's really dumb, and just not enjoyable. And then by the end of the movie, unless you like pull some kind of weird Deus Ex Machina, it's usually just a hopeless ending in that well, the characters are alive, but the world is still ended, and people are still turning into zombies, and it, like, if you're the last one standing, you're just kind of waiting for the end. There's no hope for society, stuff like that. It's not my cup of tea. The ones that do kind of try and like salvage it by making it sort of a happy ending, usually just pull some kind of whoop, the zombies are actually good now, like in Warm Bodies, or ooh, we have a cure, and yay, which yay. I kind of would have liked to have seen I Am Legend if they went with the original ending, because I've heard about how they changed it, and I feel like the original ending sounds really interesting. Because if you don't know, I Am Legend, starring Will Smith, came out a long time ago. It's about one dude who is immune to the zombie outbreak. Just one dude and his dog in like New York City or something, I think. Just surviving. And the zombies are kind of like vampires in that they come out at night. They're like really like kind of ghoulish creatures, and this character guy, he's just kind of living by himself, trying to develop a cure for the zombie virus, and also trying to like find people. I don't know if he's trying to find people. I think he's like waiting for radio waves to pick up signals. Again, I haven't seen it. But he's also like capturing, like kidnapping these zombies and taking them to his lab to try and cure them. And eventually, in the book, I believe, and in the original ending, he discovers that the zombies have formed their own like community almost. It's like they've been zombies for so long that they've kind of evolved their own sort of intelligence and their own sort of society, and they can have feelings and are like thinking creatures, and that they're actually terrified of him, the guy who wanders around in the daytime looking for and killing and kidnapping zombies. And he's actually been the bad guy, and I think he like lets the zombie he kidnapped go and stuff. But they didn't go with that. The ending that they went with, he like I don't know, kamikaze bombs the zombies, and the cure like gets found by humans or something. It just makes me upset, like finding out what the original ending was and like thinking that would have been so much more interesting. I think zombie movies are a great source for content. I just have never really found myself looking to them before. Yeah, so Zigzagoon mentioned some media have sentient zombies, which, again, are they really zombies then? And I'm talking about zombies in the Western sense. I know in, like, the original context of zombies, they're not actually, you know? Virus says, I don't like zombies. I know it's not every case, but I feel it's like a power fantasy to kill people without consequences. That's a good point. That's another aspect of it. I'm thinking more in the terms of dealing with okay, so the thing with zombies is it's not just people are infected and now people are monsters, right? Because you can do that in any number of ways. What is it? What's the word I'm looking for? The emotional impact of zombie situations is that it's people you know turning into zombies. It's not this guy. Yeah, it is. This guy is now a raving monster and I have to shoot him in the head to protect myself. It's my sister or my mom is now sick and turning into a raging monster and will eat me, and I have to shoot them in the head, and what that does to you psychologically, you know? But I haven't consumed that much zombie media, so it's possible that a lot of them out there are just zombies, like a power fantasy of people shooting people without consequences. But a lot of the times when I see it, it's zombies eating people and like people getting torn to shreds. So I can't see how that's much of a power fantasy. You dig? But let's see. Zigzagoon mentions Zombie Nation. I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it. It's a show that has intelligent zombies that coexist with humans. It also has traditional feral zombies. See, there you go. There's always going to be an actual zombie, you know? Like in Warm Bodies, the zombies are like I don't know. They're still people. They just have to eat people. But then you have the bonies, which is what you turn into when you go too far. Like when you become too much of a given too much to the zombie virus or whatever, and at that point you're just a thoughtless monster. So it's like, well, okay, then are you really a zombie then? Like you just made another thing in between zombie and human. I have read one zombie thing that I really like. It's a webtoon. Hold on, let me look up Lucario. Why am I looking up Lucario? I meant Ludicolo. Ludicolo. It's a webtoon called I think it's called Zombie Boyfriend, or My Boyfriend is a Zombie. It's really funny. It's like the main character is a zombie, okay? Like that, of course. But he hasn't like gone crazy yet because he's a culinary snob. He likes food to be like really high quality, so he hasn't eaten humans yet. And in this universe, the more humans you eat, the more like monstrous you become. And he hasn't eaten any humans, so because he's waiting for the perfect meal, and he finally finds it, and it's this girl who thinks he's in love with her, I guess. I don't know, like he kind of plays it off as a romance as well. He like he's like what was the premise? So he says his grandma used to teach him, when you bring a live animal home, like a crab or a chicken, before you kill and eat it, you have to wait 3 days. Keep it alive for 3 days. Let it eat, like feed it good stuff, because you don't know where it's been, what it's been eating. So you take it in, you raise it for 3 days so you know that it's got good stuff in it, and then you slaughter and you eat it. And so he's like, right, okay, I gotta keep her alive and feed her for 3 days, and then I can eat her. So he like cooks these like really good dishes, because he used to be a chef, I think, in his previous life, when he was alive, or something other. It's been a while. And like he pretends that he's in love with her, and it's like, oh, I'm your zombie boyfriend. I want to be your boyfriend. I just realized I missed something on this one, and that's the face mask. But then eventually, he realizes he does actually care about her, and it's very sweet. And she's kind of a crazy character too. She actually has quite a lot of spunk, and doesn't let herself get pushed around. She's kind of terrifying. She like kills zombies. It's pretty funny. I should check it out again. I need to see if it's updated. It's one of the few webtoons that I've actually read. Oh, but like that also has sentient zombies. The zombies also kind of form their own community, and they can talk to each other and stuff. They're actually quite nice to each other. They're like, "Oh, hello, Joe." I think it's like the person who wrote it is British or something. Because all the characters are British. So they're all like, "Good morning. Off to find some humans to eat. Yes. Have a good day." Hello, Splash King. Welcome to the stream. Says it's nice. Thank you. Let's see. I have seen gameplay of Zombie Army though, which has somewhat intelligent zombies which can use fireworks and melee weapons. Some are even capable of black magic. Sounds like the book was better than the film. That does raise a moral dilemma. You just remind me of a web series on YouTube that I saw, Raised by Zombies, I think it was. Love that, Ludicolo. Thank you, Virus. It's intimidating, says Zagoon. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Oops. Okay, let's see how few colors I can use while coloring him in. There was a time when I tried to make everything a different color, and I thought that made it look good. And nowadays I try to use the fewest amount of colors and try to reuse colors as much as possible, because I feel like that makes it feel more cohesive. It's such a shame that I got distracted by Animal Crossing earlier, because I was also gonna cook the boys some egg and see if they like it. I've given them hard-boiled egg before. Wanted to try maybe like a scrambled egg or something like that. Maybe next week. I like to give them the shell as well to munch on because it's high in calcium. But I don't want them to choke on it. So that could be a problem. Just color it red, or does that blend in too much? Oh, we'll color it in and see. For those who may or may not be curious, Zombie Army is a third-person shooter set in an alternate mid-1940s, around where the Second World War was nearing a close in Europe. Yeah, go ahead and stream it for Halloween is a perfect time to be doing zombie stuff, I think. Man, Ratskull says, man, I'm doing backgrounds for my comic right now and it's so hard to focus. Man, I feel you. Last night, the only thing that I was able to do was one panel of the museum from the outside, and it's not even like complicated lighting or anything. It's literally just drawing the facade. It took so long. Rascal says, oh, I'm sure the boys would like eggs. Yeah, I hope they do. I've only given it to them once, but it was a long time ago when they were still really, like, shy about new stuff. So they didn't, like, jump on it. But they're much more adventurous now, so I think they'll probably really dive in. You know, I've thought about making zombie characters of my own for certain projects like my cryptid diary. At one point I wanted to make a what's it called? I guess just an ABC book of mythical creatures. And then that got me thinking, like, what if I made like a monster school? It's been done a lot now, but trust me, I didn't know this was like a thing back when I thought of it. I thought I was being clever. Anyways, it like I was thinking depicting monsters in ways that you don't normally think of them. For example, like zombies, right? Technically, Frankenstein's monster is a zombie. So, like, going that route rather than just the kind of falling apart greenskin like gooey zombie, the one with the brains like exposed. Oh, it's this song again. I keep forgetting this song has lyrics and I have to take it out. I'm not listening to songs with lyrics on the stream. Not ones that I don't know, at least, because then I get tongue-tied. I can't talk when other people are making words. Hi, Mouse. How you doing? Good to see you. Let me see what color I use for the tongue here and use that again. Let's try and stay a little bit consistent. Okay, and now for the shading. Okay, you know what? I wanna do something. Let me turn off the color. I know I just said let's do shading, but I had an idea for the color. Because the yellow part down here feels a little too blank and boring. So what if brought it down a bit? Like that. Yeah, that looks a little better. I like that. Okay. Well, let's toss in some shading. Let's make it red. Let's see. Mouse is doing I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do to help? Haha, Mouse and Rat slaps knee. I'm gonna move to YouTube real quick, 1 sec. Oh, I didn't post the link to YouTube. Sorry, I will post my promos. I just completely forgot to post the promos on Imp server. But well, let me give you a sample of what you missed. That's alright, Zigzagoon. She didn't miss nothing. And we are continuing forward. Last night, I went on a YouTube spree because I suddenly really wanted to find some old media that I used to be into. And I didn't have much hope because the last time I tried to find this media, it was years ago, granted, but I had spent like hours just scrolling through Google and YouTube, just trying to find to no avail. And I don't know if I was just really dumb back then or if I chose the wrong search words, but I found a couple of them immediately. So let me backtrack a little. When I was young, I watched a lot of TV, but it wasn't on TV. My parents had these blank VHS tapes that they had recorded shows and movies onto, and those are what I would watch. I watched Land Before Time that way. I watched I think All Dogs Go to Heaven as well. It was just one VHS and it had like 3 movies on it, and that's how I watched those movies. And I had like a bunch of these VHSs, and some of them had like shows on them. They didn't just have movies. And so one of these movies was a Thumbelina cartoon, but it wasn't the Don Bluth one. It was some weird old Japanese, I think it was Japanese. I mean, it was in English when I watched it, but the style looked very old-time Japanese anime. When I was looking for it before, I couldn't find it, but last night I typed in Thumbelina anime movie, and boom, it was there. So I sampled some of that. It's so funny because it's like really old, really bad acting, like the voice acting, but I really like it. It's like so nostalgic for me that it doesn't feel bad at all. It's like, you know, they read their lines a little too fast. The voice clips are a little strange, but yeah, I don't know. It was very fun to view that again. And then I thought, you know what? Let's try my luck a second time. So I looked up this old movie called Train Mice. And there it was. I found it. That was another one that I couldn't find for the longest time. It's a very limited animation kind of movie. A lot of narration. But yeah, it's really charming. It's about a mouse who gets on a train and sees the world, sort of, in his limited way. So yeah, I found those two, and I also found some computer games that I used to play a lot. One is like this Rugrats adventure game where they have to rescue Reptar from the trash. I don't know if any of you played this when you were a kid, but it was my jam. I loved especially one of the parts of the game. The game's like split into different chapters, sort of different missions, I guess you could say. And one of them is you have to make a monster to scare away the monster that's coming to eat Reptar, aka the garbage truck. And Reptar is like stuck in the garbage because I think Angelica like throws him away or something. But anyway, like, you have to find parts to make a monster out of. Like, you get goggles, I think, and you get like an old coat, and that was always my favorite part. Let's see, and I found 2 old Mickey Mouse games. They're both these PC games that I used to play. One is actually a reader, follow the reader game. I didn't know it was, but that's what it came out as. If only I could get my hands on that. I'd love to play it again. Watching the gameplay on YouTube is kind of infuriating, but I would love to like play that game again. And then the other one was a Mickey Mouse 1-2-3 birthday party surprise, and that one is also a lot of fun because you can like it's actually pretty clever. He goes to a store or something and he starts out walking, and if you click on the different number keys, it'll like count out the number of wheels, and then it'll generate like a mode of transportation with those wheels, with that number of wheels. So, you know, you obviously you got the, if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, you get a normal car, and if you do 1, 2, you get a bicycle. But then what happens if you do 8? Well, with 8 wheels, Mickey puts on rollerblades. Or not rollerblades, roller skates. And like skates. It's a lot of fun. So I found those. But where I got stuck was I remember one of those VHSs, those old VHSs with the recordings on them. I remember one of them had these clips of Beatrix Potter books. Someone reading the Beatrix Potter books, but it was the images from the book, and it wasn't animated, but they would like move the images in a way that made it feel more animated. That's the best way I can describe it. And I can't find them anywhere on YouTube. I don't even know what to search. Because a lot of the videos on YouTube are just people holding the book and reading it. Some of them have like the still of the page as they read it. But yeah, I don't know what it would be called. I don't know how to search for it. And I don't quite know what I'm looking for to know if it's the right one, you know? Let's see. Mouse says, now I can use picture-in-picture while I edit pages. Leonard is here. Leonardo Mapache says, ooh, a barbarian. Hello, Leonard. Mouse, why did you switch to YouTube? Says Zigzagoon. I imagine it's because of her I can use picture-in-picture while I edit pages now comment. Virus says, good for you. I've been searching for some anime short for a long time and almost nothing. Oh man. What do you have? Like, do you have like a image in your head of a scene, or do you have like the image of a character? It's like sometimes you work with very little amount of information on what you can search for, which makes it very hard to find what you're looking for. Thumbelina anime series aired in my country was good. That's awesome. Leonard says it happened a lot to me when I was a kid, watching movies on public television, not watching them again until I was an adult. I found quite a few childhood memories on YouTube as well. Picture in picture, so I could still watch the stream while I'm tapped out. Theodore Tugboat, Beast Wars, Wishbone. Oh man, Wishbone, Bionicle. I remember watching Sebastian Starbear, Subway to Paradise, Allegro non troppo when I was a kid. They were hard to find because they weren't American or Japanese. Droids, a Star Wars cartoon. Wow, a lot of old shows. Wheeler's here. Hello, Wheeler. But yeah, no, it's so much fun finding old stuff. I think the one more thing I found last night was a Peter Rabbit cartoon. And I swear, the only thing I knew about this Peter Rabbit cartoon that I had to go off of was there was one line where a fox was walking up to Peter Rabbit, who was all alone because he had lied to everyone. And Peter Rabbit was saying, like, what's the big deal? It was just a little white lie. And then the fox shows up and he's like, a little white rabbit tells the little white lie, or something like that. I don't even know if that was the right way he said it or the actual words, but that's all I had to go off of. Other than I was pretty sure it was Peter Rabbit. But somehow I found it, and wow, the nostalgia. The movie starts with this stupid little bunny hop song, and it's so cute. And the bunnies are like jumping around, hippity hippity hop hop hop. I loved it. Of course, I couldn't watch all of these last night. I was just looking for them, but you bet I'm gonna eventually have them on and go through all of them. Oops. I think I'm being a little too much with the shading. I feel like it's not gonna come together. Usually I like to use the shading to sort of carve out the shapes and the form. Not the shapes, but like the planes of the form, so that it becomes more clear what's on top and what's on bottom. But I feel like I'm kind of just putting tiny bits of shading kind of everywhere, which doesn't help with that, you know? I'm gonna keep putting a little bit in, and then I'll have to step back and see how to make it a little more coherent overall. Do you know the let's see. Zelda is here. Zelda Firescale, how you doing? My friend from work. At least. Well, now we're just friends because we don't go to work anymore. This is reminding me that I can't find this one song for the life of me. I've tried searching for it twice, even going to Wayback Machine since the video containing the song got taken down. Wayback Machine? I've not heard of that. But yeah, is the song from like a show or something? Leonard says, "Do you know the lyrics of the song or have any other detail, time frame, style?" Yeah, it's just so frustrating when you have something at the back of your memory and you can't like pull it out. Oh no, Zelda, you didn't send me a link to your D&D session on Friday. I forgot. How did it go? I hope it went well. Yep, I'm just working on D&D classes for the Lotad family. For everyone just joining in. And we're almost done with the Barbarian Ludicolo, and then I'm working backwards. I'll start sketching the other stages. It's in Japanese. I remember it listing off common pop culture words before going into the actual song, but I haven't heard it in like 5 years, so... Oh, man. It's a tale about a kid that invites a really big, intimidating dragon to his birthday party, and the dragon doubts him, but ends crying of happiness for having a friend and transforms into a river to the village the kid was from. Oh, wow. What? Recently, we've been PVRing a show from Mom's childhood, Hogan's Heroes. D&D was insane. It may have casually started a three-way fight by triggering some infighting with the enemies despite being the most peaceful party member. So there's that. Oh my goodness. That dragon one, though, reminds me of... I don't know what it is. I think it might have been Disney. It's like something bashful dragon, and it's this kid with a book, and he goes to find a dragon, and the dragon's like, "Oh no, I'm a peaceful dragon. I just like to make poetry and sing." And he's like, and the kid's like, "Oh no, dragons aren't supposed to do that. They're supposed to be mean and like kidnap damsels and terrorize towns and cities." And the dragon's like, "Oh heavens to Betsy, no." And then the kid's like, "Well, I'm gonna go find a knight to like fight you, I guess." And then he goes and finds a knight, and the knight's all like, "Yes, hello, my boy. I'm just a jolly knight. I like to sing and write poetry." And the kid's like, "What? But you're a knight. Come on, let me go show you a dragon. You're supposed to slay the dragon." He's like, "Oh, yes, of course." And then, he meets the dragon, and he's like, "Oh, charming fellow, you like poetry too?" And the dragon's like, "Oh, wow." And they, like, become friends. And then the boy's like, "Well, what are we gonna do? The town, wants a dragon fight." And, so they, like, plan a fake fight. And And I distinctly remember at one point in the fight, they like crash into each other, and this giant puff of smoke comes up, and inside, and you hear like the knight and the dragon going, ah, help, and Unga, take that. But then you like go into the smoke, and the knight and the dragon are like waltzing with each other. They're like they're like ballroom dancing with each other, and just occasionally going, ah, take that, on guard. And like, I remember that so vividly, but I don't know what the movie is called, or like the show or whatever. I think it's like something Bashful Dragon. But yeah. Again, just a random little tidbit from those VHSs. I think the VHSs might still be around somewhere, but I don't have a VHS player. I'm gonna color this whole thing shaded. I think that'll help. The video was a slideshow of Hitalia fan art, so no help there. I know the user too, but it was like one of the 2 videos that got taken down, and the title was in the video itself. I've given up hope now. There's a YouTube video that I think has also been taken down. It's a guy who does a fan dub of the opening to Lucky Star, and he sings it like really fast and like hits every note and every word on point. It's just he sounds bored, and I don't even know, it's almost like he's not trying to be bored. It just comes across that way. And I really like his delivery. It's just really funny to me. And I can't find it anywhere. I think at one point I even tracked down his like, I don't know, I think he had like a voice acting page on some website. And I tried to contact him, but he never responded. I got so desperate, I just kind of recreated the video myself. So if you look on like my YouTube and my Tumblr, I think also, there might be a video posted at some point of me singing the Lucky Star theme song in English with the English dubbed lyrics that he had in his video, in as close as I could recreate the kind of tone that I remember from that video. It was a lot of fun. Certainly not like musically the best, but what I was going for was kind of a nostalgic return of that video that I spent so long scouring the YouTubes for. I believe it must have just been taken down. Actually, when Hitalia was popular, I did hear a lot of Hitalia videos. It was very popular to put stuff to Hitalia. It's funny because Hitalia was the kind of show that just really made fun of everyone, but a lot of these videos were kind of like patriotic in a sense of their country. They were you know, what's the word I'm looking for? It was respectful, which was very funny to me, to use those characters in that sense. I remember I was very upset when I caught up to the dub and started watching I think it was like season 3 of Hetalia in Japanese, and I was like, oh no, who was it? Spain? I think it was Spain. Spain is like big in the 3rd season, and like I love his dubbed voice, and he's almost not even anywhere in the first 2 seasons. I don't know if it was Spain or if it was like some other country, but I just remember it was one that I really, really liked the voice for, and I was really upset that they didn't dub season 3 yet. I think season 3 has a dub now. I haven't seen it, but I probably will at some point. I don't know. I enjoyed Hetalia. It's fun to laugh at. And the dub is so fun because they do the absurd accents for everyone. They've been inactive, blog and all. It's just a little frustrating how fickle memory can be. Remember really liking the song. It's ironic you mention I'm from work because I'm choosing now to try to do work since I was lazy earlier today. Good luck! Speaking of work, one of my coworkers is off due to a broken toe. Oh no! Didn't stop her from coming to the rally last Friday. Well, I guess people just like entering rallies. The prospect of winning something, right? Leonard says I finished a graphic design commission and I'm not pleased with what I delivered. Oh, I'm sorry. But I don't want to crunch, so I'll leave it as is. As long as the client is happy, don't punish yourself for it. And if you can, you know, leave it until another day and take a look at it. Maybe you'll see something simple that you can change to make it better. And you know, at the end of the day, sometimes a commission just has to be done, even if you're not terribly happy with it. I've done many a commission before where the end product was not exactly something I was incredibly proud of, but it was done and the person uses it, and I'm not gonna say anything about it because, you know, that's just how it goes. Okay. I'm gonna set that to multiply and turn it down a little, and I think that does help add a little bit of dimension. It's just a little busy as well. Okay. The parts that aren't shaded are coming out a little too strong, so I'm knocking them back just a tad. Seeing if that will help. I don't want these braids to look like butt cheeks. I know he doesn't have fingernails, but I think the finger would still have a little bit of dimension on the thumb. Okay. Alright. Did I put a shadow on the bard? Yes, I did. Okay. I made it its own layer, so... something like that. Bring it down. And, oops, what did I do? Okay. Oopsies. Does that add anything, or is it just extra? I'll leave it. It's there. I put it in. I might as well just leave it in. I think that about does it for the barbarian. So I'm gonna stretch my fingers a little, stand up, and throw some more cereal out and see if the rats want to come out and play. Come here, boys. Come here. babies, babies. Where are you? Yeah. Well, we'll see. I've been trying to teach the rats to come when I make the squeaky noise, the like that noise. And oh, there he is. they really like the what's it called? The Rice Krispies? The Snap Crackle Pop. There's Duncan. Control F rats. Bring out the mariachi band. Let's see. You should have seen me there. I was shouting my lungs out in the crowd. No justice, no peace. A barbarian mariachi plays. That's not mariachi. I'm not clicking on the video. I can't, Oh, you're talking about... It is. It's KK Mariachi, I think. I'm saving the video for later because I love mariachi. But I've got a show to run. Alright, well, let's go back to our initial setup here. So we did the Ludicolo. Ludicolo, that's the right one, right? Man, I always get it confused. It's Ludicolo, Lucario. There's one more. Lombre gets mixed in there sometimes too, but Ludicolo, Lucario, and one other that I tend to get mixed up. So we did Bard and we did Barbarian. So we have... Which one do you guys want to do next? Lombre or Lotad? Oh, they're so small. I'm gonna have to find out how I can zoom in a little bit to get them. Ludicolo is meant to sound vaguely Spanish. Ludicolo. Let's do Lombre. The Lombrero. They both are grumpy. I love grumpy. Yeah, Lotad is more spacey, like, what? So for Lombre, we were thinking either Monk or Cleric. Monk because it has the long arms, so I think I can do some, like, kind of martial arts poses with him. And Cleric, I don't know, I just thought maybe a Cleric would be easier to characterize, with the color scheme and stuff, so... We'll see. I just realized I don't have my stuff pulled up. Let me see. Open in Docs. Google Docs. Any other suggestions for class for Lombre? Again, we can't use Bard or Barbarian because no double dipping. And for the second stage, Pokemon can do 2 to 4 items. We are provided with a list of possible items, like for inspiration. I'm seeing for the monk, the kind of religious Buddhist necklace with a talisman. Are monks religious? Is that a religious class? Because I know, like, a paladin is like a fighting religious class and cleric is a healing religious class. Monk, I don't really know what makes you a monk over like a fighter, over a, you know, just a general martial artist, I guess. But these items seem kind of religion based. And I ask this because, where is it? It says here, when making a cleric, paladin, or any other class that has religious things, remember that most Pokemon religions have to do with following the path of a legendary, meaning that they believe in what that legendary stands for / rules over. So the things they wear should have something to do with the legendary. Yeah, and a lot of these things, they're just talismans, which seem vaguely religious. I'm seeing robe, too. Like, I don't usually think of monks as wearing, like... Oh, I guess they're going with, like, a medieval monk? Not, like, a martial arts Shaolin monk. Well, I also see a bag of coin, which is good to have around if you collect alms, I suppose. Makes it look like you're rough and tumble and wandering about in the woods. I guess, I'm seeing potions? Are monks sorcerer class? Do they do magic? I guess anyone could do magic, technically. These items are very strange. Am I looking at the right... Huh. Okay, and then the staff. I guess a staff is pretty good. That's kind of like what I was thinking. Sort of a side sleeve robe kind of situation, right? Polearms. A book. I guess if you're more of the clergy kind of monk, you would be carrying around a book. But that's... I always thought of that as like a cleric thing. I suppose as a monk, you could be like an acolyte as your background. Flute? What's the flute have to do with being a monk? Lyre? Now we're getting to like music instruments. Arm wraps. That's part of the outfit. So I guess the outfit counts as one item. So if I can have a max of 4 items, I would do this necklace thing, this staff, an outfit, including like loose clothing and like arm and leg binds, if I can fit them. Lombre has long arms. That's what I was thinking when I chose monk. Is he has long arms, good for punching. Okay. We got some like good examples here. This Ludicolo. Sorry, this Lucario. Really fits the monk aesthetic. Obviously the Hypno looks really good as a monk too. Let me sketch sketch down some of these poses so that I can not do the poses. So we already have a balancing on one leg pose. We have a sit and meditate pose. We have another balancing on one leg fighting pose with a stick, and another stick with a one leg. A lot of one leg poses with a stick. This one up here is fun. They've got a stick and they're like on the stick like Monkey from Journey to the West. Pretty good. Okay, has anyone seen Lotad in the camp in Sword and Shield? It's a very cute waddle. Oh no, I need to see it. I have not seen it. I caught a Lombre in the wild, so I never saw Lotad. A thief could work. Buffering like mad. Monks revolve around study of ki, I think. In traditional DnD, says Zelda. Leonard says literally petting rat on screen. Oh, should go over and give him a pet. Don't really think they're religious in D&D. They're more studious. They are really good at martial arts, especially with punching. Chocolate rat is chill. Oreo rat is hyper. Actually, it's like it goes both ways. Sometimes Oreo rat is way more chill. I think I might go with like a low pose. Keep both feet planted because so many of these are like on one foot. Yeah, Lombre feels very monkey-ish to me, which is also what gives me monk vibes. And also, like with the bard and a wizard, possibly, just the fact that they already have a wide-brimmed hat built into their design makes them seem extra suited to certain classes. And I think the monk having like the straw hat could kind of work with that as well. Wait, I don't know what to do with this arm. Hold on. How is this pose that I'm thinking of? This one can be up in a fist, ready to punch. I need to pull up a picture of Lombre. Get the right number of digits. Lombre. Okay. Knuckles here, and 3. Oh no! Oh no! 4! 4 fingers and a thumb. You gotta concentrate on posing, which means there's very little space in my brain for talking. It's a Mienfu pose! Ah! No, you're right! Which is funny, because when I tried to do the Mienfu at one point, I don't think it looked this good. Okay, let's try to get the hat in. I'm not sure if this hand here is blocking where the hat would go. The Lombres have a very odd situation going on with their hat, because it's not a hat. It's literally like they're balancing a plate on their head, which means it doesn't sink in to their head at all. So it doesn't behave quite the same, but I keep trying to treat it the same. I think maybe wider. Like that, and then like that. Okay, let's see. For those of you who were at the Sunday stream, yes, I am still eating the same spicy lollipop, and it is still very painful. It just takes forever to get rid of. And I was watching Bluey again the other day, and was reminded how, I don't know if and they didn't say it in the show. It just reminded me because I was eating a lolly. But I think the British and probably the Australians too, they call all candies lollies, not just lollipops. So like you could give someone a gummy bear and say, "Do you want a lolly?" Which is very funny to me. I like a lot of colloquial terms from across the pond. Like I've been consciously trying to say we instead of p when I'm talking about p. Like if my rats wee on me, I'm like, shucks. It just sounds a lot funnier when I say, oh, my rats weed all over the carpet. Instead of, man, the rats peed on the carpet again. I'm trying to switch some words over because they're just more fun to say in a different language. Is it really a different language if it's still English? I guess technically it's different terms to mean different things, so it could be. I don't know. Which then just makes the Nintendo Wii a lot more funnier as well. It's okay to make a Mienfu pose. Okay. Outfit time. Loose, right? Loose clothing. And, I don't really know what direction his movement is going. 'Cause he's kind of just stopped. So I'll just kind of do a somewhat of a generic indication that there was some movement in some direction. I kind of want to do something unique with the prayer beads. Like, as if he's... What if he's, like, holding them, you know? But if they're not traditionally religious in D&D, then I don't know why he would be holding them. Because that would just make it difficult to fight with. Let's see. What else can I add? Because with this pose, I don't really want him to be holding a staff. I don't think the staff fits this pose. Not long enough to be used as a whip, yeah. I could make it longer. try to make it longer. So... Because all I could think is the only reason he would have it out is if there was some kind of spiritual magic that he can use to bind, like, evil creatures with. Kind of like a Moroku situation. I don't know if Moroku used prayer beads necessarily, but I know he had some. It's just something more dynamic. I kind of just want to have something else in there other than just him posing. I kind of want this to come up a little more. Maybe. I don't know if that would look good. maybe someone was trying to steal it from him and he was just taking it back. Like, no, that's mine. He just snatched it back dramatically. Good night. Good night, Zigzagoon. Hope you get some good sleep. So... I have been working on a bit of a random side project that I can't get out of my head. That's kind of Animal Crossing related. And it's Animal Crossing tarot cards. Now, hear me out. So, the reason for this is because a friend of mine posted a DeviantArt piece where someone had done some tarot cards with Animal Crossing characters assigned to them. You know, like the lovers had Reese and Cyrus, and I think the devil was like a sea bass. Which, okay, to be fair, sea bass, to be fair to the sea bass, it costs a lot more now to sell a sea bass in New Horizons than it used to. It used to be like 250 bells, which is dirt. It's nothing. But now you can sell them for like 500, I think. Which is actually pretty substantial. Not bad at all. I don't know why they raised it, but it's nice. So, technically, now the dab is way more worthless than a sea bass. But a lot of them didn't seem to fit, and my friend was asking me and my other friend what we thought about it, because I've done a tarot deck, so I've done some research on it, and my friend, actually it's Mouse, so it's Tails sending us this image to Mouse and me. Oh, Tails is here too. And Mouse is like, oh, you've been working on that? Oh, I mean, I've been thinking about it. I haven't been working on it, I haven't been, like, drawing anything. But it's been on the back of my mind. I've been too busy to actually sit down and, like, do any real research and stuff. But I did do a little. And, I just wanted to share something that we've come up with, which is looking at, I think it was the devil card. Was it, Mouse? Because you were like, oh, the devil being the sea bass doesn't make any sense at all. People don't understand that card. Just kind of like how people don't tend to understand the death card. They think it's scary, but it's actually, it can be a pretty positive card. If you really think about it, because it represents, like, death to an old self, something that you're like, that you should shed to welcome in something, you know, new, a new stage in life, I think. So I asked what the devil card actually stands for, and Mouse described it as temptation, and we were like, dude, we should make the devil Daisy May. Because I mean, like, technically I think Joan would probably look better better suited for it, being a crusty old lady, but Daisy May is just a lot funnier because she's a cute little girl, and it kind of works for the representation too, because what do people do every week, despite many of them losing out on the stalk market, is they buy more turnips. And even people who don't need the money will buy turnips because you just gotta play the game. You just gotta play the stock market. Yeah, I just wanted to share that because that's been tickling me for ever since we thought of it. It's just such a fun idea. And another one I came up with that Mouse said was perfect was the Nooklings being the magician, I think. Because the magician, like, brings you the stuff when you've come up with an idea, you're ready to pursue a goal. They bring to you the materials needed. And what does the Nooklings do but run the only shop in town? You wanna turn your house into a Japanese bathhouse? You gotta pay through the Nooklings. You wanna set up a Wild West rodeo out in the town square? You gotta pay through the Nooklings. They got your stuff. They got you covered. I like it. It's so much fun assigning cards to characters based on symbolism over just simply looking at, like, the name of the card. Like, with Cyrus and Reese being the lovers, I get it, but I was looking through the characters and, like, looking at sites explaining what the lovers card actually stands for, and I think maybe Mabel and Sable, the Able sisters, they I don't know, you can let me know, Mouse, what you think about it, but I think the Able sisters probably work better for the lovers. Mouse, by the way, is my go-to for, like, clarification on tarot stuff because she knows that kind of stuff better than I do. I just kind of Google and I read a couple of sites that have explanations. All right. I'm going to not line that. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. I will do the line art for this next week. It's time to move on to the other sketch. So we have Monk Lombre. What else can we do? Monk Lombre. What's something that would be the opposite of what a Lombre seems like should be? Because that's how I came up with Bard Ludicolo was one that seems like it really fits, and then Barbarian Ludicolo seems like one that probably wouldn't be such a good fit because Ludicolo's such a jolly fellow. Why would he be a barbarian? Noodling. It's what I do. It's my brand. Can't stop it, even if it was. Okay. Let's see. Leonard says I'm really liking the flow in this drawing. Thank you, Leonardo. Tail says, we talking about dabbing without dabbing Jet? A crime. You're right. I'm sorry. I don't have Jet set up in this OBS setup to dab. Daisy made the devil, talking about turnips. Tails is saying, don't call me out, Zero. Getting all kinds of called out. Tails getting all kinds of called out in here. Big number go upsies. Big number go brrrr. Crimes. Alright. What was the other one I had down? I think it was Cleric. Okay, let me see what Clerics got. Where is the Cleric? Let's see. So Cleric is one that really surprised me because at one point I saw that they tend to use hammers, which I was like, wait, what? Like as their weapon, they got these giant hammers. So I don't know that much about Clerics. Warlock Lotad with Fiend or Eldritch Horror Patron. Tiny little flop with scary overworld powers. That sounds awesome. I stayed away from Warlock because I wasn't sure what Warlocks are. Warlock. I went with I'm gonna try Wizard or Druid maybe, but Warlock, I might try that. I don't know. I don't much know what the Warlock's aesthetic would be, but I could always check. We're sticking with the Lombre today, though. So give me a sec and let me take a look at the items a Cleric might have. what legendary is it based off of? That's another fun thing with the Cleric, is I'll be able to choose a legendary to be the patron of. So we got a staff, obviously, for their healing. Oh, okay, this is interesting. Let me bring this up. Can I just do this? Okay, items that the Cleric might have. So we have a staff, right? And some examples, they have Jirachi staff. They have Uxie staff. But then over here, it's like a Lunatone and a Sun... Soul... Wait, what is this called? Soul Rock? And those aren't legendary, so I'm wondering, can it just be a regular Pokemon that it's based off of? No, it says specifically legendary. Interesting. Pikachu, that's the wrong kind of staff. Some more staff ideas. Some more staff ideas. A lot of staff ideas. Book! Okay, I definitely want a book. Yeah, see over here, it's this dwarf cleric with a giant hammer. Maybe it's like a dwarf thing, and like dwarves tend to be clerics, and so that's why clerics tend to have hammers. Because they're dwarves. Maybe Lunatone and Solrock are for Solgaleo and Lunala. Oh, that's true. Maybe a deity, a legendary could have like what's it called? Not familiar, but like a projection of themselves on, like a representation of themselves in another Pokemon. Kind of like what I was saying about Reshiram and Swanna looking very similar and having very similar parts. Coin bag, obviously, for the monies. You got the amulets again. Funny hats. A hood? I don't know. Can't put a hood on a Lotad. Can't really put a hat on a Lotad either. I'm sorry, I'm talking about Lombre. Potions again. I don't know about potions. That seems kind of sorcerer, wizard-like to me. Scroll. I already got a book, so probably won't do scroll. Candles. Oh, dude. Ratskull's like, did I just hear someone call Reshiram Swanna? That's me. I've always thought that Reshiram and Swanna are strangely similar. They have a lot of similar aspects to them. They got the bra feathers on their chest. They got the weird feathery crotch feather fuzz. They have the like cheek fuzz too. Swanna has like these cheek fuzzes, kind of like Reshiram's floof. Shield. Should I give him hammer and shield? Hammer seems so, I don't know, violent for a cleric. Rascal says, I believe that Swanna is a god because swans are absolutely terrifying. Zelda says, if it helps, clerics use their holy symbol to cast spells. So could do stuff coming out of a holy symbol of a legendary. That's true. Okay, that's a good idea. I didn't know that. Well, I think I did know that. I just forgot. Wait, does a holy symbol have to be like... Could it be like a book, or does it have to be like a medallion? Or can it be like a weapon? And in case you guys are wondering, yes, Zelda is my go-to for D&D stuff when I am not sure about stuff. And Master Wheeler is my go-to for anime, Pokemon anime stuff. It's so good to have friends with special interests and expertise in areas that I don't. Okay, that guy looks like a thief. That's not a cleric. Okay, well, let's see what we have so far. We have maybe a staff. I am leaning towards not using staff because then I would have to design a staff. I'm thinking book. That's 2 items already. I'll probably have to put off this one for next time. I just want to kind of set it up so, you know, I don't have to do as much thinking next time because we are running out of time. Maybe some kind of cloak, you know? Like, he's not wearing his hood, but it can be blowing dramatically behind him. You can't really tell what that is. Let me try, like, this instead. Candles. I kind of like the idea of candles in his, like, his head thing. I don't know what the candles are for, but I saw candles at one point. A holy symbol. Some kind of medallion. Hammer. So I kind of want to do the candles and the cloak. Maybe book. Apparently it says amulet, emblem, or reliquary for holy symbols, but honestly, who cares? An amulet. Okay, so I'll do those. I'll have him like holding the book, like he's reading from it, right? Maybe holding up the amulet like he's casting a spell from it. Or maybe... Oh, no. I don't know. And then in his head, there can be candles. I like the idea of the candles, like, in his head, and then, like, maybe they're dripping. And then, like, a cloak. Okay. Well, that's for next week. Before we end, let's do a little doodle fun. Why don't you pop in the chat a Pokemon and a D&D class? Is there any Pokemon in a D&D class? And if you don't know any D&D classes, do like a video game trope character? I don't know. Like a video game character, maybe? Just a video game character. Or a D&D class. I see you there, Master Wheeler. I see you there with a Pikachu. We did do fighter last time. Mudkip Druid, surfing on a giant tsunami wave. I could try a Mudkip Druid. Can druids control the elements? I guess that's the Mudkip part. Trying to remember what makes something a druid. I believe it's just a lot of nature stuff, which I'm not sure what parts to include. When I did my druid character, I had a lot of like the outfit was very much based on the background and not the class. The only class thing I think that I incorporated into the design was I had her materials hanging off of her. And it was like stuff like bones and feathers and jars of dirt, you know? But in terms of actual stuff, I think they use like wooden things. Something about how they can't use like metal. So all their weapons are made of wood. I don't know how I would draw it surfing on a tsunami. I've never been much good at water effects, let me just say that. Mudkip, you surf! Okay, so let's start adding druid stuff. Also, it's a quadruped, so it's like, where do I put all the druid stuff? Let's start with a satchel, maybe. So I'll give him a satchel on the back. I guess maybe as a quadruped he would have a side satchel. And let's see. Maybe in his mouth. Hmm. They do manipulate nature, okay. I kind of thought it was like they could commune with it and then it'll just like do stuff for them if it wanted to. Kind of like Aquaman can like tell fish what to do, but I always imagined the fish kind of like had their own schedules and they'll be like, well, let's see, I guess I can help you on Tuesday. Ask Gerald, I think he's free. Can you imagine like people who have the power but they're to communicate with animals and like they have to basically just hope the animals are free? It always seemed more like mind control is what happens in most stories. Like they're controlling the animals into, I guess what I'm talking about is kind of like Dr. Dolittle. Which I didn't actually see that movie, but I kind of wanted to. I'll give him like I don't know. Let's make him a crown of seaweed. And put some shells in it. Some seaweed and shells. I've been collecting those summer shells in Animal Crossing. I'm quite sad because I want an upstairs in Animal Crossing. That I can turn into like a pirate ship deck, because they have these amazing Vista wallpapers now that like actually move, and I can make the distant horizon one, and put like ship stuff, and you walk upstairs and suddenly you're on the deck of a ship. But I don't want a symmetrical house. I don't want the right room on my house, and they won't let me get the upstairs. Before getting the side room. So I'm just stuck with 3 rooms. Granted, my left room is kind of not great. It's like a prison. Is what it is. So I could turn that into the ship deck, but it's just the idea of walking upstairs and like seeing the horizon, you know? No, I don't want the side room. I have the money for it. I just don't want the side room. Like, literally, Tails, you did pay off the debt. I don't owe anything anymore to Nook. It's literally just the outside aesthetic that I'm stuck on. I can't get myself to... And just so everyone's happy, I'm gonna put in a little... Poor Pikachu. All right. Well, I'm noodling again. So, thank you guys for joining me this evening on another D&D themed stream. We're getting close to getting it all done. Got a little less done than I anticipated, but I don't think the LOTADs will take that much time. At least not to finish. So we'll definitely get this project done this month. Which is my goal. And, I don't quite remember when it was. I think it's the 19th, but this month is, Jets Black Nuzlocke's, anniversary. And on that day, I will probably, do an extra stream, if it's not already a Monday. And we'll see what'll happen. I do need a new chapter cover. Not chapter cover, act. I call them acts. My, chapters are called acts. Anyways, I need a new act cover, for Act 8, which should have started before last week's update, I think. So I might just have to insert that in, everywhere. But I might save that to draw, on stream. Not sure what it'll be of, but that's the fun of it, right? It's just me figuring things out on the spot. But anyway, that's enough noodle doodling for one evening. Let me catch up with the with the chat. Mudkip says, I'll be the favorite starter now, Pikachu. Mudkip is trying to show them a good time and not realizing Pikachu has a different definition of good time. Oh man, rip Pikachu. A pirate ship. Let's see, going up a little bit. Mudkip can politely ask for nature's assistant. What's the name of that flower crown Pokemon? Comfy, the flower necklace lay. Pokemon. Everyone else miss being able to change the shape of your house like in New Leaf, like Zen or Princess style exterior. You can kind of change the exterior, but yeah, it's very limited. Let's see. But yeah, alright, well thank you everyone for coming. Stay safe everyone, and I'll see you all next week. Keep your nose clean. Bye!